Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Ask BQ on Bloomberg Quint Live. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Hey Navneet. Well, I'm Alex Matthew. If you've got questions in equity, then you know where to send them on any one of our social media platforms or on, you can even call us on 022-4540-4141. You can also mail us on askbq@bloombergquint.com. Only make sure to add the AskBQ hashtag.
Okay, but before we get to the individual queries on the show, here's a quick look as to what's happening with the markets. It was a good opening where Bank Nifty touched fresh highs, but there was some selling pressure that was seen from the top today. As we speak, Nifty is down almost 32 points. And remember, there's support which is coming in from Reliance, or else Nifty would have been even lower from these current levels. Sensex down almost 100 points. Bank Nifty, after touching fresh highs in today's trade, has tumbled. And remember, today is also the day for the Bank Nifty as well as the Nifty options expiry, because of which you could expect some bit of volatility. Actually, Bank Nifty is now slipped below that mark of 30,400, and that was a put which was really active in the morning session. In terms of volatility, India Volatility Index has surged today. It also touched the 52-week high. I think it did touch the level of 23, and currently also it is sitting at 52-week high levels, 5.5% there. All sectoral indices are trading in the red. Market breadth is not looking good at all. Remember, we are heading into an extended weekend. This could also be because of positions traders or investors may not want to roll over till Monday, and as you can see, market breadth is not looking good at all. Just pull up the Nifty contributors list. That's going to give you a better picture as to which are the stocks that are dragging the index lower. So something like HDFC is trading in the red territory. Infi, actually the selling is, trust me, across the board, but support definitely is coming in from Reliance, which is contributing 27 points. Quickly, sectoral losers are Realty, Bank, PSU Banking Index, as well as the Nifty Metals Index. Despite of good data coming in from China, metals have succumbed to selling pressure. In terms of gainers, Max Financial is doing well in today's trade, though it's off the day's high after reports are suggesting that Axis Bank could be looking to acquire stake in its subsidiary company Max Life. Gravita India has surged 5% higher. Interglobe Aviation touched fresh highs in today's trade. On the losing side, Jet Airways, on news of because of cash crunch, the airline has been grounded, 27% lower for that one, and also it is in the F&O band. Reliance Capital, after tumbling 7% day before, is down another 8.5%. Fresh shots have been seen there. And something like Dewan Housing, it's out of the F&O band for today, and because of which traders are creating much more fresh shots there. And Rain Industries, which was doing well in the past few sessions, is seeing some profit booking in today's session. So overall, Alex, the picture is not looking that good. I think from the highs, there is that sign of profit booking now, which is kicked in.
In fact, if it wasn't for Reliance, the picture on the benchmarks would have been a little more grim, and that can be seen from what you said on the mid-cap and the small-cap indices. But let's get our two experts in for the day. Ashish Kelkar of Kiran, Jadhav and Associates and Sandeep Jain of Tradeswift Broking are here to answer all of your questions today. Welcome to the show. I think, Sandeep, just to set the tone for this conversation, I read today on one of our social media platforms that there was one commentator that said he wouldn't be surprised if a lot of retail investors had gotten into Jet Airways in the recent past, and just taking into account today's big crash and the movement that you've seen in some of the other two aviation counters, what advice would you have to give retail investors at this point?
We have been, trying to advise the retail investors to avoid to make any fresh call in the stock. Though those who are holding, somehow we were recommending that, they might hold with some stop losses, because, it's a very, very news-driven stock. So fundamentals anyways are not there. So it will be purely news-driven, and then the news is so negative that, the whole market sentiments have gone bad. And somehow, it is actually very, very unexpected that, the lenders planned to lend some more money to revive the thing, and then they lent also, and then somehow in between they have no buyers. So I think the plan should have been more strategic, and it should have been planned more in a better way, that somehow let's see what happens in the next few days. So I think those who have actually burned their fingers, they will have to wait for some more decisions to come. And I think the government might interfere also, and things might we can see some buyer at even the lower levels. I just remember, when the strategic partner of Jet, they mentioned a price of, 150, and somehow it has come to those levels. So, and it is taking support at somewhere around these levels only. So let's see what happens. But I'm very, very skeptic and I'm very afraid also, and very difficult to advise at these levels.
Right, well, the street too is skeptical when it comes to Jet Airways. And let's see, Sandeep, as you mentioned, whether the government intervenes or not. And Alex, let's not forget, Air India did not get any bidders last year.
That's right.
I'm sure there are bidders for Jet Airways, but it's just that because the airline is grounded, now the equity value goes down.
Absolutely. So no cash flows, no operations.
Exactly.
What are you buying at the end of the day? What assets are you buying?
Though lenders have refused to pump in more money, I think it's hurting them because I guess SBI had put in that equity at 280 or somewhere thereabouts, and now
the offer from Etihad was around 150 with a lot of preconditions.
Correct.
Which might just be met at this point, but maybe it's a little too late. You can't say.
Naresh Goyal has already pledged the remaining shareholding he has. But let's move on from Jet Airways. Just pull up the chart of Yes Bank. Shubham has written to us. He's bought 1,000 shares of the bank at 210, and he wants to know, should he hold or book profit? So let me take this question to Ashish. Ashish, 3.5% lower, still in the money, bought at 210. What would you suggest our viewer to do, considering the markets are witnessing some bit of profit booking today?
Good afternoon. See, overall chart structure is positive. The stock is making higher tops and higher bottoms. So the price which has come down from a level of around 280 to a level of 260. So this is a small correction, and I believe that the base formation is happening. So definitely I would recommend to hold on with a strict stop loss of 248 on the closing basis. And an important level on the higher side for this particular counter would be 265. Once the stock price crosses 265, once again there will be a fresh breakout, and in that case the first target would be 300. So definitely hold with a strict stop loss of 248 on closing basis.
Okay, interesting question from Shalom Ranga on Facebook, and I'm perhaps going to club that with the first question we have from Ayush Gupta on YouTube. Ayush is asking about Radico Khaitan, and he's gotten at levels of 343. The stock is not too far away from that acquisition price, but it is down about 5% in trade today, under pressure. Now, Shalom's question has to do with three sectors. He's asking for the gaming sector, he's asking for quick service restaurants, which would be hospitality, and the liquor stocks for the next or for the long term. So I'm going to club those two. Sandeep, Radico Khaitan as opposed to some of the other names in the liquor space, and also if you were to talk about the gaming space, you know, a lot of is said about the Chinese gaming companies, but I don't know how many Indian gaming companies are really known and listed. So what would you have to say about those sectors?
Somehow he's looking at some interesting sectors, you know, where these lifestyle stocks are actually being, you know, clubbed. So I think Radico Khaitan somehow could not perform, and it's been underperforming. But then, you know, the levels at which it is trading, I think they are quite attractive. The valuations are looking very attractive. So, and then the company is very aggressive also. They have been launching new brands, and then their brands are also pretty established. And then if you compare it with peers, then the valuations are pretty cheap. So I think Radico Khaitan, he can certainly hold on for the longer term. And then when it comes to gaming, I think, you know, you can look at Delta Corp, where, you know, they are also into now the online gaming space also. And then they are getting into some tourism related venture also. And then I think the company is doing pretty well also. And then the downside risk is also very low. So I think he can continue holding, you know, Delta Corp, and he can try buying Delta Corp at declines.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Delta Corp. Let's take our next query on Infosys. Pull up the stock. Remember, the earnings had come and they did disappoint the street. And we've got a query coming in from Ramesh. The stock's actually down 1.2%. Remember, it's also a heavyweight on the index. He wants to know if it falls to levels of 700, can there be a fresh entry made for Infosys? So I'm going to come to you, Ashish. Do you think somebody should look to buy in fee around the levels of 700?
Definitely. 700, 710 is a very strong support zone for this particular counter, because earlier it was a strong resistance. Once we break the resistance, it becomes a support, and this is what has happened exactly on this particular counter. In the month of March 2019, we have seen that around these 710, 700 levels, the stock came down, took a support, and from there it has bounced back. So definitely 700, 710 would be a buying opportunity levels. So go ahead and buy with a strict stop loss of 680 on the closing basis. And once we get a bounce back, the first target on this particular counter would be 740, and second target would be 755.
Okay, let's pull up Supreme Industries. We've got Shivakumar who's asking a question at this counter. In fact, let's look at the shorter term charts just to see how it's done over the last 1 month or so. The stock is currently at just about 1,140. It's up about 7% in trade over the last 3 months. Since it's a question as to whether or not it's a good time to buy, I'm going to come back to you, Ashish, on the charts. Is there an indication of an upside from this point, or is there possibility of more correction?
See, Alex, this chart is consolidating, and the higher end of this consolidation is 1166 to be very precise. So till the time the stock is below 1166, I would not recommend a fresh entry in this particular counter. Suppose someone is holding this particular counter, definitely I would recommend to hold. But if fresh entry has to be taken, then someone should buy above 1166. Once this level is taken off, then the first target would be 1200, and the second target would be very big for the counter, and that second target would be 1275. So if someone wants to buy, wait, don't buy right now, buy only above 1166 is what the charts are suggesting.
All right. That's the view on Supreme Industries. You see numbers flashing on your screen. Perhaps we have to get those numbers checked, but the immediate reaction on RBL Bank is that there's a bit of a drop in the share price. It's currently trading around 0.6% lower. Of course, the expectation for PAT was around 246 crore. So we'll get that number checked and get back to you. In the meanwhile, let's take another question. Perhaps, Sandeep, we can go to these two counters which have been doing particularly well in the recent past. Maharashtra Scooter and Kenna Metal, both at close to all-time highs. I think Mayank Saraf is holding on to both of these counters. So should he continue to hold?
I think Maharashtra Scooter, certainly it's a holding company, and the shares which it is holding, they are doing well. So that's why it has been a clear outperformer. So I think, and then the price to book value also is 0.53. So it is actually running below its book value. So still there is, and when the markets are buoyant, actually, these kind of stocks really do well. So because they are basically holding companies, and during the bearish markets, they somehow generally don't do well. But I feel, Maharashtra Scooters, he can continue holding it. And somehow Kenna Metals, last time also, I think this question was being asked, and I don't track the stock, so I will not be very confident in commenting on it.
Okay, let's get you some more views going in. Aditya writes to us, he wants a short to medium term target for UBL. He's holding the stock 200 shares at 1371. Let's just pull up that stock and see where the current price is. It's 1422. So Aditya is making money here. If I could come to you on this one, Ashish, would you recommend him to book profits? He's entered at 1371, or he should wait it out?
Definitely, I would recommend him to wait, because it has just given us a breakout of ascending pattern, triangle pattern formation. And the next target which I can see on the chart is 1465 and 1482. So these levels are very important. So definitely in the near term, the stock can reach to these levels. So hold on with a strict stop loss of 1410 on a closing basis is what I recommend on technicals.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Rajesh Babu's query. And this is an interesting one, Sandeep. In the context of the recent moves that you've seen in the stock markets, today we've seen a correction, but there's been a consistent up move. He's got 1 lakh rupees to invest right now, and he's asking, should he put all of that money as a lump sum, and which stock would you pick? Or would you advise him to choose a stock and then over a period of the next 2 months or 3 months or so, keep sipping into that?
I think he can put in the money, because somehow I feel that there are lots of mid caps and small caps which could not do well, and he can look at this sector also, and then the large caps also. There are some good names where there is some good amount of correction which we are seeing. So I think somehow when it comes to Infosys, just Ashish actually spoke about it. Technically, he has given a good support level of 700 to 710 also. And after the results, actually it has corrected, and after making 52-week highs. So it can be a very good opportunity to enter into, say, IT stocks. Even Tech Mahindra looks very good at these levels. Then Infosys looks very good. Then even TCS had a fantastic set of results. So it can be very good. So he can look at these large cap names, because since he is actually investing for the first time and investing, so he should invest in some safer stocks. So I think ITC can be a good name. Then there is a fertilizer stock, GSFC. Somehow I feel that that is also a good stock which is trading at very cheaper valuations, and actually it has not performed in the markets also. So the downside risk is actually very low. So Infosys, ITC, and GSFC he can look at.
Okay, those are some long-term bets coming in from Sandeep. The next query is in Karnataka Bank. Pull up that stock. Ujjwal Kumar wants a short-term view on this one. He's holding the stock at levels of 127, and currently the stock's trading around the mark of 136. Ashish, would you advise Ujjwal to book profits, or he can remain invested here?
I would recommend to remain invested, because the shadow indicators which I am using, they are in the positive territory, and definitely there is an upside in this particular counter. So I would recommend to hold with a 6 stop loss of 131.5 on the closing basis. Important level for this particular counter on the higher side is 140. At 140, the stock may find a little bit of resistance, but 140 is also taken off, then definitely the stock would outperform, and the next target would be 155 in just 1.5 months. So definitely recommendation is hold on.
All right, just a small clarification on RBL Bank. If you missed any of that, well, the NII has come in about 48% higher, and the net profit is about 38% higher at 246 crore. I believe the net interest income number has come in at just under 700 crore. But I think one number that a lot of people were looking at was the gross NPA number, and as a percentage of advances, that has come in at 1.38%, which is exactly what it was at the end of the last quarter, that is at the end of December. And the net NPA number has come in more or less unchanged as well, just under that 0.7% mark at 0.69%. So asset quality, we'll have to see what the bank says in terms of the commentary, but it's more or less remaining unchanged.
Yep, as of now, the stock's not doing much. Just I think when the results were announced, it did see some selling pressure, but it's bounced back from those lower levels. The bottom line is pretty much in line with the street was estimating. Let me quickly take some more queries. Sandeep, I'm going to come to you. We had a listing on Tuesday of Polycab. It was a stellar listing. Harsh Vardhan writes to us on Facebook. He's asking which is the best company to be invested in wires and cables for the next 5 years. So would you advise him to buy Polycab at current levels, or would you suggest something like Finolex cables or something else which comes to your mind?
Yeah, certainly. It's a very good question. In fact, Polycab is again a fantastic company. It has been doing well, and fast moving electrical goods is one segment which is really doing well, and the wires and cables industry particularly is growing at much faster pace than the GDP, so 15% CAGR. So I think the whole segment is very interesting, and somehow I feel that those who are holding Finolex cable, they should certainly keep on holding, because the brand equity is fantastic. The company has been managed very well, and it has been doing very well since last couple of years. And I think this is a very good company to hold. And for Polycab also, the valuations looks attractive, and the listing was fantastic. And I feel that there was some good listing gain being made in this company. But those who are looking for some long-term bets, I think both of these companies can be held for long term, and Finolex is certainly my choice.
All right, let's quickly get in some more questions. GK has got a question on United Spirits for the next 3 months on the charts. Ashish, do you think that United Spirits is a good bet? It's currently trading around 553.
Definitely, it's a good bet above 560. This level is important for this counter. So if you are holding the stock, definitely keep holding the stock. If you want to add more, you can add above 560 on a closing basis. My first target on this particular chart would be around 690, and the second target would be 590, and the second target would be 625. So definitely one can go ahead and buy as of now, and you can add more above 560. The 6 stop loss for this particular counter would be 642 on a closing basis.
Okay, buy on United Spirits on technical basis. Sandeep, Vodafone Idea, we've got a query coming in on YouTube from Raja. He's holding 100 shares at 17.7, and he wants a view from a longer term perspective. So right now, it's just about the same price where he bought. The rights issue is underway, and the stock saw a lot of interest coming in the last few sessions because the promoters were subscribing to majority of the rights issue. But do you see any value in Vodafone Idea at current levels of 17 to 18 rupees?
See, for a fresh buying, certainly I won't recommend, but then, you know, because I really find it very difficult to invest in the telecom space at, you know, the kind of pricing pressure these companies are facing due to the Reliance Jio success. And Bharti Airtel still I like the best, you know, in this sector, because, you know, somehow I feel that they have that first mover advantage also, and then I think they will be, you know, in a better position to encash whatever things get better in the future. So Vodafone Idea is still, you know, I think, you know, the kind of pedigree, the kind of promoter background, and the kind of confidence they have shown by in this rights issue, I think that is giving some support to the prices. But for a fresh buying, I'm not recommending this stock. And Reliance Industries is one stock which I'm really recommending. But at these levels, again, you know, I will wait for the results to come, and then I will wait for some more action to happen, and I will try to buy on declines, because it has actually given a very big run up. So there is some risk of, you know, losing out when the market's correct. And today, if you can see, totally the market is being, you know, strengthened by the Reliance performance only. So let's see what happens. The results are there in the evening today. So we will wait and watch, and then Bharti Airtel can be bought at declines from my side.
All right, Reliance results, you can watch all the updates on Bloomberg Quint later this evening. But in the meanwhile, let's jump straight to the rapid fire segment. Remember, this is where we try and fit as many questions as possible. Just a shout out to our two experts. Do keep your answers as short as possible. Riddhi Shah wants to know about TVS Motor. Ashish, on the charts, with the perspective of the next 2 to 3 months, should he buy or not?
Definitely go ahead and buy with a 6 stop loss of 506 on the closing basis, and the target would be 548.
Okay, pull up Ashok Leyland. Satish got 600 shares at 119. He wants to know if he can add more and what should be the target price. So Ashish, coming back to you, Ashok Leyland bought at 119. What should one do?
Hold on with a 6 stop loss of 91 on a closing basis. It has to cross very important level of 98. If it crosses 98, then definitely the price can retest his buying levels.
Okay, Sandeep, Vinay wants to know about Rail Vikas Nigam. Should they buy for the long term?
It's a fantastic stock. In fact, during the listing also, we recommended for, you know, investing in the stock for the longer term. But then it was really very surprising the kind of move it gave after the listing days, 2-3 days of listing. And there was a discount element also for the retail investors of 50 paise. And from there, it has actually done very well. So I think, you know, those who are holding it, they can continue hold it. And for a fresh investment in these railway stocks, and somehow these railway stocks are actually very attractive because of the kind of order book they can have. Sorry, I'm being long, but then rights is a good thing.
Okay, Hemal Kotak wants a view on HDFC AMC, and he wants a short-term view. Ashish, on the charts, what would you advise him to do?
I would recommend him to hold on, and if someone wants to buy, buy only about 1600. That level is important. If someone is holding, hold on with a 6 stop loss of 1550 and fresh entry above 1600, and the target would be 1688.
One more for you, West Coast paper for the short term. Karan Singh wants to know, would you put your money in this counter?
Not now. I will invest in this particular counter only above the important level of 280.
All right. Well, that's the view on West Coast paper. And in fact, that's the last question that we can take on this particular program. But of course, we'll be back on Monday to take a lot more of your questions, those that haven't been answered today. Let me thank both our guests. Thank you so much, Ashish and Sandeep, for taking the time and answering all the questions you did today.
Okay, and on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Ask BQ. Thanks a lot for watching the show. But remember, we're just a tweet, post, or a call away. So please keep your queries coming. And we promise to address all of them through our shows, at least most of them. For all previous episodes, visit our YouTube channel or our website, bloombergquint.com. Stay tuned. Up next is Power Lunch.